the English subject. Let's begin. So we have a first question here, which says choose the synonym that suits the best for the words given below, right? So we have perseverance, right, as our first word. So, and we also have dedication and sloth as our options, right? So let's see. Let's first of all see what the word perseverance means. So perseverance is basically a name, which means it's a noun, right? It's a noun, which means to be persistent, to be persistent in doing, in doing something. Something, by something I mean by doing some work. To be persistent in doing something that we know, that we know is going to be hard, and despite knowing the delay, and despite the delay in achieving success. So the word perseverance means, so the word perseverance is a noun, which means to be persistent in doing something, in doing some work, right? In doing some work, right? That we know is going to be hard, right? And we don't even know when are we going to be successful at last, right? So despite the difficulties, despite the difficulties and hardships, right? And despite the delay in success, right? So we are continuously doing a work regardless of the pains we are facing and regardless of the the time delay in achieving our goals, right? So perseverance basically means dedicating yourself towards your work, right? So it means dedicating yourself towards your work, or staying motivated towards your goals or your work, motivated towards your work, right? So the word perseverance means dedicating yourself towards your work, right? So we have a first option here, which says dedication. So this must be the right option. So moving on to the next slide. So we have the second question here. It says choose a synonym that suits the best for the words given below, and the word here being sacrosanct, and we have the options earthly and holy here. So let us see first of all, what does the word sacrosanct mean here, right? So the word sacrosanct is basically an adjective, right? And what does it mean? Sacrosanct means to be very sacred. Sacrosanct means to be very sacred or holy, right? Sacrosanct means to be very sacred or holy. So what, it's an adjective. So what do adjectives do? They give information about a noun, or we can say they describe a noun. They describe the characteristics of a noun, right? So for example, let's say if we describe a place as sacrosanct, by that we would mean that the place, by that would mean that place is very sacred, right? Or we can also say it's very holy. It's a holy place, right? So if we describe a place as sacrosanct, we would mean that that place is very sacred or holy, right? So that's the meaning of the word sacrosanct. So the option B, it says holy, would be the right option here. Right? Hope I'm getting an explanation. Let's move on to the next slide. So we have a third question here, which says choose an appropriate prefix that gives the antonym of word apologetic, and we have four options: dismiss, un, and non. So antonyms are generally small parts of words. They're generally small parts of words which are added to a word to give the opposite meaning to a word, right? So let us see what the word apologetic mean actually. So the word apologetic is an adjective. Which means to be sorry about something. Sorry, to be sorry about having caused problems, for others, right? So the word apologetic means to be sorry or to regret about having caused problems for others. So let's say unknowingly or knowingly you have caused problems for others, and now you are being sorry about having caused the problems. In such cases, we can say that it could be said that he was apologetic. He was apologetic about the incident. He was apologetic about the incident, right? So in such cases, we can say that he was apologetic about the incident. So the opposite of the word apologetic would be unapologetic, right? And so the opposite of the word apologetic would be unapologetic. So let's see, when would we use this, the prefix this then? So the prefix this would be used in cases like it would mean to stay away from something, to stay away. Like let me just give an example. Let's take the word dislike, right? let's take the word dislike. So when you say you dislike something, you're moving away from a general audience who like a thing. Let's say you dislike cakes. So you're moving away from all the people who like cake, and now you're moving into a different class where only people who dislike reside, right? So you're moving away from a general audience who like something, and now you have moved to the class of people who dislike the thing you're being cake, right? In such cases, while you stay away from something, the prefix this using the prefix this would be appropriate, right? So then when would we be using miss then? So miss, the prefix miss uh, is usually used when you do some mistake. For example, uh, let's say let's say you have miscalculated let's say you miscalculated something, or let's say there was a misconception, right? Misconception means wrong assumption, right? Misconception means wrong assumption, right? So in such cases, you use the prefix miss. So non-apologetic, we don't use the prefix non with apologetic. So using the prefix non with apologetic to indicate the opposite meaning of the word apologetic would not be appropriate. Like, it doesn't make any sense, though it makes some sense. Like, theoretically we don't use non-apologetic, right? So we remain with the option C, which is unapologetic, right? So saying unapologetic as the opposite of the word apologetic would be meaningful, right? So option C here would be the right option, right? Hope I'm clear with my explanation. Let's move on to the next slide. So we have our fourth question here. It says choose the appropriate option. So this is in the black type of question. The statement being those bright pink football boots really dash. So we have stand down, stand up, stand out, and stand aside as our options here. So here, when you say, so first of all, stand out would be a right option here. Would be the right option. You say, let's say there are a group of people who are wearing dull colored boots, right? Who are wearing very dull colored boots, right? And now a guy walks in wearing bright pink boots, right? So when this happens, when a guy walks into a group of dull people wearing dull colored boots, his bright pink boots, his his bright pink boots, his bright pink boots stand out or stand apart from stand out, right? Outside of this group, stand out of this group, right? So his bright pink boots would stand out of this group. So option C, stand out, would be an appropriate option to fill in this blank, right? Hope I'm clear with my explanation. So let's move on to the next question. So we have the fifth question here. It says choose the appropriate option. Let's dash the old toy, right? We don't need it. The statement being, let's dash the old toy. We don't need it. And we have four options here: throw in, throw away, throw up, and throw on. So most of you guys would have already guessed it. So throw in would mean throwing the old toy in your own house, into your own home, into your own residence, right? So why would you do that with an old toy that you don't need it, right? You don't need the old toy, then you would throw it outside, right? Why would you throw it inside, right? So this would certainly be a wrong option. And next we have throw up. Why would you throw up a old toy? Like, this makes just no sense. If this doesn't just make a sense out of the, why would you throw up a thing, a old toy? Why would you throw up a old toy in the air? This would mean throwing up the old toy in the air, right? Why would you throw up a old toy that you don't need in the air, right? You would throw it in a garbage pit or in a dump somewhere, right? So this would also be a wrong option. So throw on. So throw on. Let's throw on the old toy would also make no sense, right? So the only option we remain with is throw away, which is the right option, which also means that you throw it away from you, right? So just say you're this guy and you don't need the toy, so you throw it away, and somewhere on the road here, the toy comes and falls, right? So you throw it away, right? So the option B would be a right option here. Let's move on to the next question. So we have the sixth question here. It says choose the correct option. It's a fill in the blank type of question, and the statement says, I think I have dash but failed the exam, but I'm not sure, right? So we also have two options here. We have shall, we have the word shall and might. So the word shall here is a verb, right? And the word shall is used in situations when you're trying to assert, when asserting a strong intention. So when you're trying to assert a strong intention, you use the word shall. For example, they shall succeed. They shall succeed, right? In such conditions, while you are asserting a strong intention, you use the word shall, right? And might is also a verb, and the word might is used when you're doubtful about something, or something, or when something is possible, or when something is possible. So when you're not sure about a situation, when you're not sure about the outcome of the situation, whether it's going to be true or false, whether the situation will happen or not. So let me just take an example here. So it it might it might rain it might rain today, right? So seeing at the dark clouds, you can predict the future weather, right? So you would say it might rain today, but you're not sure of the outcome, whether it's going to be true or false. So when there is such a kind of situation whether you're not in which you're not sure about a thing which will happen or not, so in such cases you can use the verb might. As you can see in this sentence, I think I might have failed the exam. So there is a possibility that this situation is true, right? Or maybe false also. We can't say, right? So when you can't say whether the situation is true or false, like you can see here, but I'm not sure about the situation's outcome. In such cases, you can use the verb might. So might is the correct answer here. Let's move on to the next slide. So we have the seventh question here. So it says choose the correct option, and we have the sentence. It's a fill in the blank text question. We have the sentence you dash help me, and we have two options: should to and have to. So which of these two questions do you think would be the right one? So let us have a look on that. So should to, if you try to use the word should to in the above sentence, the above sentence would become you should to help me, right? And now if you try to make any sense out of the sentence would make no sense at all, right? Like you should to help me. This is even grammatically not correct, right? You should to help me. And this just doesn't make any sense, right? So this is wrong. So the only option we are left with now is have to. And now if you try to make use of this have to in the above sentence, the sentence will become something like you have to help me, right? Now if you try to make if you look at the sentence, the sentence would mean you have to help me, which means that you're seeking help from your friend. So you're seeking help from your friend or classmate, maybe anyone, doesn't matter. So like this sentence would mean seeking help from someone, right? You have to help me, so you're asking help from someone, right? So this have to would be an appropriate option for this question, right? So this would be the correct option. So moving on to the next slide. So we have the eighth question. It says state whether the given meaning of phrase are true or false. So the phrase here being getting a second wind, and the meaning that they have provided us here is having energy again after being tired, right? So this is a true or false type of question. So let us have a look at our phrase once again. So getting a second wind. So getting a second wind. A second wind means the phrase second wind here means getting to breathe, getting to breathe, breathe, getting to breathe for the second time, right? So say you have been working for 2-3 hours continuously, and finally after finishing up the work, you got you took some rest. So at this point of time, you take the second you take the peaceful breath. You take the second breath. So here at this point of time, you breathe peacefully. So this all happens in a one go, right? So after continuously straining yourself, you take a rest. You breathe for a second time peacefully. So this means getting the second wind, right? This means getting the second wind. So getting the second wind basically means taking a rest after finishing up the work or working for longer hours, right? So let us have a look at our meaning: having energy again after being tired, right? So yes, so the statement of this meaning makes sense with this phrase, right? So this would be true. I mean, this meaning would be the given meaning of the phrase would be true, right? It would be true. So true is the right option here. Let's move on to the next slide. So we have the ninth question here. So again, it's a true or false type of question, and state whether the given meaning of phrases are true or false. So going on a wild goose chase is our phrase, and the meaning for the same is taking credit for someone else's achievements. So we can clearly make out that there is no connection. There is no connection between the meaning and the phrase, right? So going on a wild goose. So first of all, goose is an animal, is a wild animal. So going on a wild goose chase would mean like doing something courageous, or doing a work involved with risk, or doing a work in which risk is involved, right? Or doing a or doing a work which is hard, right? So all those statements would indicate to this phrase, right? So but here if you see the meaning, taking credit for someone's achievement, so like there clearly exists no connection between the meaning given and the phrase. So there is no connection here. So there exists no connection, any meaningful connection. So the the meaning of the phrase is false here, right? So the meaning of the phrase given is false. So let's move on to the next question. So we have the 10th question here. It's again true or false type of question, and we're asked to state the given meaning, whether the given meaning of the phrases are true or false. So the phrase here being the elephant in the room, it's an idiomatic phrase, and the meaning here being everyone gets their chance to do something big, right? So let us first understand what is the meaning of, what does this idiomatic phrase mean, right? So here is the meaning of the phrase. So say
Oh man, this match is...
there is a discussion hall, and you and your colleagues are sitting on a round table, and you're discussing about a topic, right? So a topic, so you guys are discussing about a topic or issue, right? So say now the big issue, there's an issue